Hello, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to another episode of the Last Harvest podcast with your host, Damien Dumar. This podcast is all about the book, The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars. It's available on Amazon. The full title is The Last Harvest, A Secret History of Lucifer, Aliens, the Illuminati, and the Fate of Humanity. What is the book about exactly? Well, it's about the plan of the global elite to eliminate 90% of the world's population through a plan of global genocide and hybridize and enslave the rest, all at the behest of the Nebu Gray extraterrestrials who are in control of this planet. So all of your world's leaders, they're actually under control. The mechanism by which they're under control is explained in great detail in The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars. Many people wonder sometimes, where did the unconscious mind come from? Everyone who browses the self-help section in a bookstore, if people even go to bookstores anymore, I'm dating myself there, you will see all these books about how to work with the unconscious mind, courses online about how to study hypnosis in order to improve yourself. Many religions or cults or what have you, I won't name any, have actually built entire systems around, well, how does one work with the unconscious mind? Well, the question is, where did the unconscious mind come from? Well, the answer to that is in The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars. Where did it come from? Who created it? How does it work? Why does it work? And no, we're not trying to start some religion, and The Last Harvest is not a self-help book. It is a very dark book that's just explaining to you the facts about what's occurring right now on this planet. The book was written at the behest of the Divine Father. Whether someone chooses to believe that or not, it's up to your free will. And the book basically covers what is described in the book of Revelation, which is the only book of the Bible which has not been corrupted, because the Divine Father put a curse on that book so no one dares corrupt it, not even Satan himself, who has corrupted many other books of the Bible and contaminated most religions in order to lead one into damnation. So right now we're living in the end times. What you read about in the book of Revelation, it's happening right now. For those who wish to know more about this, one can go to vampireashram.com and one can go on to the section called Notes from the Night Side, and one can see all these articles here that are written by Lucien Mars himself that give lots of evidence that what is happening right now on this planet is indeed that which is expressed not only in the book of Revelation, but also in the writings of Nostradamus. So if one doesn't wish to purchase The Last Harvest or listen to the incredible audiobook we produced, at the very least, take some time and read these articles, because you don't want to be in a situation where you say, oh, I didn't know. Well, now you know. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're hearing me speak right now, you have no excuse. You know. So if you turn away, it's on you. So I would suggest that going to Notes from the Night Side on vampireashram.com, reading these articles, figure out how they resonate with you. Again, I'm not trying to sell anything, except if you want to buy a book, but publishing makes no money, so don't hold that against me as some sort of ulterior motive here. Not trying to sell anything, not trying to start a religion, not trying to start a cult, zero interest in any of that. The world will be over very soon, and right now my mission is simply to get this information out in front of as many people as possible. So far, when combining Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, and other sources, had well over 1 million people exposed to this information, and the goal ultimately is to get as many people exposed to it as possible. So also feel free to share these videos if you want to pirate a copy of The Last Harvest and send it to all your friends. You're not going to get into any legal trouble from me. The main thing is to get the information out there. So when we look at the news stories that are occurring this weekend is actually really significant, because anyone who doubts that we are in World War III, look at this here. We have a live feed. Iran attacks Israel. Hear it in the words of the Israelis themselves. As we know, over this weekend, Iran finally attacked Israel, which, for those of you who weren't born yesterday, is something that people have been fearing for years. What would happen if Iran attacked Israel? That would start World War III. This has been common knowledge among the political savvy for probably as long as I've been alive. So it's finally come to pass.
The Iranian attack is ongoing. Our planes are in the air. Tonight, wide-scale attack by Iran is a major escalation.
Well, I think that gets the message across. It's certainly not hyperbole or hysteria. There you have it. Video footage itself of the attacks. Israel talking in great detail about the attacks. The internet is full of this. So what do you think is going to happen next? And for those of you who have read The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars, we know that warfare is one of the major vectors of depopulation, especially nuclear warfare. So this is something to think about. Now, some of you will say, well, Iran doesn't yet have nuclear capabilities. Well, that doesn't really matter because everyone else does. And once Iran starts fighting with Israel, who's going to join in next? How will this escalate? You can be guaranteed it will escalate because that's what's in the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation clearly describes the Battle of Armageddon and where it will occur, and it will occur in the Mideast. Again, one can reference articles and notes from the night side if one wants biblical quotes and the like. So here we are. We have the conflict in the Ukraine escalating. We have the conflict in the Middle East really escalating. China is still a little bit slacking, but give them time. Give them time. They're always good at copying things. I wouldn't look at them as leaders, but they're on the way to. It's going to be the triumvirate. So another interesting video I came across here is from the famous comedian Sam Hyde and internet prankster. He's actually really smart and has great insights and things. And he had this episode of his podcast with the very funny Nick Rockefort. They used to have a TV show called $1 Million Extreme. I think it was on Adult Swim until I got canceled because they were very politically incorrect. But either way, it was funny. You could say they followed in the same footsteps as Dave Chappelle. He also his show got canceled for being very politically incorrect. So they're in good company, I suppose. But anyway, it's not really why I bring them up. I bring them up because Sam had this guest on here. I don't know who he is. I think his name is Charles Carroll, another comedian. I think he was a former cast member on their show as well. And this interview was really a discussion of them talking about how when you go online, you can really see the public opinion against Israel shifting in a very, very negative way, which is in a way what Jewish people always fear, that they're going to end up being persecuted again. And again, it's come to pass. And for those of you who have listened to some of my prior podcasts or who have read the articles on Notes from the Night Side on Vampire Ashram, you will realize that Jesus cursed the Jewish people and the state of Israel. The land there that is currently Israel is cursed. Nobody is supposed to live on that. Not Jews, not Muslims, not Christians, nobody. It is a cursed land. If it belongs to anyone, it belongs to the underworld now. So it's very bad when you have a nation of cursed people on a cursed land committing genocide, and it's also extremely bad when America supports them no matter what, because in America is supporting a cursed land. And this just doesn't make sense from a common sense point of view. Some people would say, well, how can you say the land was cursed? Well, watch my last podcast, read the articles on Notes from the Night Side. It's very clear in the Bible. Nobody wants to talk about it, but Jesus cursed the Jewish people in the land of Israel 3 times. And again, I'm not here to promote anti-Semitism or something like this. It's just stating facts, what's in the Bible. And we can see clearly it all coming to pass today. So this interview is about how the tide is changing against Israel and the Jewish people. And it's really not a surprise given the sort of information that is on this podcast and on the website and in the book, The Last Harvest. And what's also very interesting is what this guest is about to say, because he goes away from the main topic of the conversation and he goes into something that in many ways is more important. Listen to this.
Irrefutable logic, and I'm here to learn. So, but I just thinking like these biblical, and I'm not Mr. Bible or warfare. It's just, it's irrefutable, the logic of what you said. So it makes sense.
But your take is that you suspect that that the powers that be somehow this is part of the plan. They're going to flip it.
I assume it's part of the plan because the powers that be have no names and they're not of this world.
Well, he says the powers that be have no names and they're not of this world. Oh, they have names, all right. Names like Satan and Iblis and the Greys. They're not of this world. That's true, but they have names, and this is part of the plan. So all these events have been orchestrated by these sort of entities. As The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars goes into, all of the world's leaders are under control of the Nebu Gray, of Satan. Trump is literally possessed by Satan. He is the Antichrist. We go into great detail proving this to people. So those of you who vote for Trump, you're voting for the Antichrist, and you're pretty much damning yourselves. And I know a lot of people, they wish to vote for Trump because they are angry at the system and they think that this is a big way to say up yours to the system and vote for someone like this, but actually they're just bringing their own destruction upon themselves. And it's the lazy way out, because the way to really go about it is to, if you're upset with things in this country, is to devote your life to politics and change. It's not difficult to run for office these days. I mean, it isn't. And in a city like New York, you have singers of punk rock bands getting elected to the city council. Only 30% of the population of New York City votes. Nobody puts any effort into electioneering anymore. This is why we have individuals like de Blasio and our current mayor in power, and many of these people there who then vote for the destruction of the city one way or another. And the same thing applies on the federal level. Probably less than 50% of this country votes already for the last who knows how long. So 50% have dropped out and only 50% are voting, right? Now I understand that realistically, to get into a position of power such as the president, you have to be connected, and that it's very difficult to go against the controllers of this planet. But at least on a local level, there are things people can do where they can get elected, and people still do have a vote. You have the ability to vote for who you want. You could vote for nobody. Everybody could get together and vote for some candidate that normally would get only 1% of the vote. And what are they going to do? They have to make him president. That would throw the game off. People can all get together and they can pray. They can pray directly to the Divine Father and say, hey, I don't like this. I don't want any part of this. I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for some unknown candidate. I'm going to do what's necessary to try to preserve this country. People can get together and say, we don't support Israel. We don't support accursed people on a cursed land. We're not voting for the Antichrist, Donald Trump. People have the free will to do something about it. And most of them, they just don't take advantage of this free will. And then who are they going to blame when Armageddon comes? It's all on them because they have free will. We live in a creation and not a clockwork. So exercise your free will. Do something with it. Something positive, not something that leads to damnation and destruction. So, as this individual said, there are people not of this world behind this, but we do know their names. The names are in The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars. Their names are on Vampire Ashram in Notes from the Night Side. So learn about who the enemy really is.
So it's hard to assume that these things that, I mean, look, I'm just theorizing, but if they're taking DMT, they're talking to the jesters on the other side. These things are, I mean, this is just speculative, but these things are, alive for 1,000,000 years or something like that.
That's correct. He's right. Many of these entities are technically immortal, if you wanted to argue the point. And you live barely 100 years. Think about this. Get it to your head. If the extraterrestrial controllers live for a minimum of 20,000 years, and many of them are immortal, and their technology is several 100,000,000 years more advanced than yours, why are you not praying directly to the Divine Father? Really? Are you stupid? Like, what, you think you have a chance? Yeah, you have free will. What will you do with it? Start praying. Start refusing to comply. Start making choices other than voting for the Antichrist because you think it's a way to stick it to the system.
This lighter will give you fire no matter what Mother Nature throws at you.
Commercials.
This new incredible electric dual arc torch.
Don't assume the overlords that are strong enough to conquer a world make mistakes. But that's what I'm down with logic too. I kind of enjoy how things are kind of seesawing a little bit.
Well, when I start to suspect that, what I think is, why is their domination not more complete?
It's just to create a world of happy slaves is.
See, again, Sam Hyde says, well, why is their domination of the world not complete? You mean it isn't? Come on, Sam. It isn't? The domination is complete. I mean, figure it out. And if not, read a copy of The Last Harvest if you want. Email me. I'll send you a copy of The Last Harvest. No problem. You can read about it and start making memes that actually make a difference.
Is necessary. Like, it can't always be a fighting thing. You have to get people to be down with it and then happy with it. Otherwise, they don't cooperate, and you straight up have to kill them. You can't corral them.
Exactly. This has gone into this strategy is described in great detail in The Last Harvest. It's better to have a planet happy in their subjugation than in constant rebellion. This is just common sense. Of course, going forward with the plans of the Nebu Gray and the plans of the Soul Catcher chip and the plans of Elon Musk's neural implant, once you get that implant in your head, you're going to be a slave for eternity. You'll be damned. I mean, you just kissed your soul goodbye at that point. At that point, people would become automatons and slaves, and they would effectively use their free will to give up their free will by getting that chip inside their head. So when the time comes in the future and you're forced to take a chip, like in the past few years, they forced you to take something else I won't name because I don't want to get in trouble. So if you think that was bad, getting forced to take that into your body, well, if you take this into your body, it's unrecoverable. So at that point, you're better off just killing yourself. And no, you're not going to get punished or sent to hell because you killed yourself to save your soul. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Come on. Like, no. If someone says, well, you have to get this chip in your head or you can't eat and you'll starve to death. Well, starve to death or just end it. Because if you put that chip in your head, then it's over for you. And when you complain about it, they'll say, well, you didn't have to take the chip in your head. You say, yeah, but if I didn't, you would have starved me to death. True, but you still didn't have to take it. Think about what I'm saying. Somebody else said this recently about something else that people said, oh, I was forced to take. And he said, you didn't have to take it. Nobody forced you to take it. No one held you down and forced you to take it. And people get angry about this, but it's the truth. You don't have to do it.
That's what it seems like to me. Like how everyone's down with everything in Hollywood and even taxes and stuff like that. Plane tickets, paying for gas forever, the space project, freaking the budget, trillions of dollars. It just if you get people down with that and you make their lives so miserable they don't even have time to think of how bad their life is. It seems like that's more of an infallible plan than out.
And doesn't that plan work just great? I'm sure a lot of people would think about running for office, but they're too busy paying their incredibly high rents and dealing with government regulation and dealing with crime. And I think it's working out pretty well. This Charles Carroll, he's pretty smart there.
Right, like brutality or military force.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I assume that these Bible things work, because it's been going on for a couple thousand years. Allegedly.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense too.
Imagine if this was all for harvesting Coca-Cola piss.
Nothing surprises me.
Oh, like Anunnaki Coca-Cola piss. Joe Rogan talks about it being gold.
What, Coca-Cola piss?
Like they keep us all, you know, like why wouldn't it be more complete? Like why wouldn't it would be easy for them if it was like that. They could snap their fingers and be able to like end game this stuff.
Yep.
Like, you want them as prisons? Fine. Let's bang, zzz, laser a country, zzz, like war weapons. Zzz.
It's not about that. It's a war on heaven and a war on God. So it's not about controlling the people. It's about getting them to willingly separate themselves from God. Is what the
See, this guy really knows something. I wonder if he read The Last Harvest. I wonder if he's a hybrid, and he should go get his blood checked. Maybe he's Rh negative and he's a hybrid. He knows more than most people. For some reason, this is exactly what it's about. It has to do with a war in heaven, a war against God, and getting people to use their free will to separate from God. Very important.
The ultimate war is like it's more than people think of just a prison planet. It's a war on heaven. That is that the only way to explain this.
Because heaven and God could transcends everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like some Satan's bargain or something. Like I can get these people to willingly separate from God. I mean,
well, it's the reversal the reversal of a hierarchy, like the taking the lowest people, taking the Starbucks baristas with barely 90 IQ points that are just not
complete inversion.
Having them be at the top of the hierarchy and having what is holy, children, babies, be at the bottom of the hierarchy.
Yep.
They're just being killed in the womb.
That'd be like a suffocation on.
There you go. Very interesting. Got to give Sam Hyde credit. He's got a good show going there. And he's pretty funny too. So finally, I want to go over this. Elon Musk did a SpaceX presentation, and I really don't like it when all these videos on YouTube, they all have things like blah 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 leaves them speechless, or so and so humbled. You know, everything is like using these catchwords all the time. The something killer. This changes everything. And they all have nothing to say. And it's sort of funny because people use these tactics because they work. And it's the same thing with those who exercise control over human beings. They use the same tactics over and over because they work. Satan repeats himself. It worked with Hitler. And it's going to work again with Trump. You know, Donald means world ruler in Hebrew, right? So if it ain't broke, why fix it? But anyway, I just want to go over the beginning of this speech because what Elon Musk says is so utterly retarded. Like, this guy is not very smart. I'm sorry, he isn't. He may be smarter than your average 90 IQ Starbucks barista, as Sam Hyde said a second ago, and I'm sure there are plenty of Starbucks baristas who are very smart and have genius IQs. They just do that as a job because they don't want to work or whatever the reason is, don't have ambition. So I'm not trying to knock on Starbucks baristas, but you get the point. Like, Elon Musk is just not very smart. Wait till you listen to this.
Where are the aliens? Which I get asked a lot. This is like the Fermi paradox. Where are the aliens? And I've not seen any evidence that there are aliens on Earth. A lot of people think there are aliens on Earth, and I'm like, great, I'd like to meet one. You know, for a while there, when I was getting my green card and everything, it said alien registration card. I'm like, okay. But this question of where are the aliens is, I think, a very profound one, because I'm aware of no evidence of aliens whatsoever, which means that I think we're probably alone. And if you look at the history of Earth, Like, how long has Earth been around? Assuming that physics is correct, the universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. When you think about how old is civilization, I think the right measuring point for civilization, in my view, or a good measuring point, would be the advent of writing. So the first writing is generally considered to be the ancient Sumerians. Where are they now? They died out. But about 5,500 years ago, it was archaic pre-cuneiform. In fact, I suggest it's like an interesting rabbit hole to read about the history of writing. So if you consider, say, like, okay, civilization, I think if you don't have writing, you kind of need writing for civilization. It's only been around for like a little over 5,000 years out of 4.5 billion years that Earth has been around and the 13.8 billion years of the universe. So all of human civilization is basically the blink of an eye. It's like just a fraction. It's nothing. And I think that probably means that consciousness is incredibly rare and perhaps fleeting. It may not last for very long, because otherwise I think we would have seen aliens, some kind of sign of aliens. I think the most likely explanation is that consciousness is so rare that and does that consciousness actually extend to another planet? Does that consciousness extend to another star system? I mean, ultimately...
I mean, there's no words for how stupid this guy is. And of course, he's lying. He's saying this stuff on purpose. He knows very well that they're extraterrestrials. He can just look in the mirror. I mean, really, like, he doesn't know? I mean, come on. This is just... It's terrible. And if you pay attention to this video carefully, you can see the high-speed editing. That he's not speaking straight through here, that he is spurging and babbling all over the place, and they're trying to edit it to make it seem more coherent and less disjointed. And whenever someone makes mistakes like this, where they're like, you ever listen to Donald Trump and he's talking and he says complete nonsense all the time and things garbled together, this is always a sign of possession by an entity that's operating at a different frequency, and there's kind of like a translation problem. And you see it with Elon Musk all the time, where he's constantly stuttering and stammering and hemming and hawing and going around in circles. Well, there you go. I mean, just at a certain point, just listen to this and come on, man. Who are you fooling? Who are you fooling? You're operating at this level. You're basically competing with NASA. You're developing satellite systems for the U.S. military and the CIA, and you think something like this? I mean, you're stupid, but you're not that stupid. Like, you're just lying to people, and people need to wake up and realize they need to get The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars. Find out about all the extraterrestrials who created you and who are involved in this. Learn about it before it's too late. Time is really short. We're already in World War III. Pretty soon we're going to be in a civil war in this country. You really need to start learning now, and you need to start praying now. And I'm not advocating Christianity or any kind of religion. As a matter of fact, I'm anti-Christian. As I've said before, the only people dumber than Christians are Satanists. If you wonder why I say this, listen to the videos on the YouTube channel, read the articles and notes from the night side, listen to my other podcasts and speeches. Learn about this. If you want to have a relationship with your Creator, the Divine Father, nothing to stop you from just praying to Him. You don't need to be a part of any religion. You don't need to believe any religious stuff. You just need to reach out to Him directly. What's so hard about it? Look at what you're up against. Read The Last Harvest. Watch the videos. If you don't wake up, well, okay, but you probably should. And the moment you wake up, you're going to realize you need to start praying. And again, I'm not saying that in some kind of religious sense. It's just, this is what's going on. So anyway, on that note, I'll see you next week, where I'm sure there'll be tons of more exciting stories. I mean, just watching everything that's in The Last Harvest by Lucien Mars unfold, it's kind of exciting. It's a very dark book, but look how it's unfolding. And that's the reason I do this podcast. That's the reason why articles keep getting produced on Notes from the Night Side. Because there is going to be no sequel to The Last Harvest. The sequel is happening every day. It's happening with these podcasts. It's happening with these articles. it's happening so fast in real time. There's no way a book could keep up with it. A book would always be so far behind. The only way to keep up at this point is the way we do now. So on that note, have a great week.